I want to thank the chairman and ranking member Lofgren for convening this hearing, and Secretary Granholm for your willingness to appear for us today. Also, I wish Chairman Lucas a speedy return to our committee. Let's talk about science. I'm not here for the politics. I'm not here for wedge issues. By training, I was a meteorologist, and so I really appreciate the Department of Energy focusing on the future of clean energy, because this is what we're going to leave for our kids and for our grandkids. They're not going to remember an argument about ceiling fans. They're going to remember that we did something, and we did something for them. I'd like to talk about the auto plants for just a minute. Since 2003, the big three automakers have closed or idled 61 plants. In February, Stellantis idled its Jeep plant in Belvidere, Illinois, laying off 1,300 workers in the process. The state of Illinois has been working diligently with Stellantis in an effort to reopen the plant and bring the jobs back. Various presidential administrations have provided loans and grants to auto manufacturing companies that build manufacturing plants here in the United States. However, companies sometimes use those grants and the loans to establish manufacturing presence in so-called right-to-work states, making it less likely that the jobs created through the government investment will be good-paying jobs with robust benefits and worker protections. In fact, hourly wages in right-to-work states are on average 15.8% lower than states like Illinois. And the consumers, they never see this discount. So, Secretary, I'm proud owner of an EV built in our country by union workers. What steps can Congress take to ensure that companies receive the federal assistance they need to keep manufacturing in the United States while still incentivizing those priorities and those companies to provide labor standards, high wages, and robust benefits?
Thank you for the question. It is top of mind for us as well, especially as we sit on the verge of a potential strike. At the end of last month, your question was, what can Congress do? Continue to support the funding of conversion grants. So, for example, in the Inflation Reduction Act, we got I think it was inflation. Was it the Yes, it was Inflation Reduction Act. There was the $2 billion for converting existing facilities in places that had long been manufacturing. So, if a company came, for example, in that Illinois plant you discussed, and there was some entity who wanted to convert it to a facility, that grant would be available to them because they're converting in a place that had high wages and that had been there for a lengthy period of time. In the same way, our Loan Programs Office is offering another $10 billion for those same purposes. So we are trying to use the funding that we have been given at the department to encourage high-wage jobs and conversion of plants in places where the community falls apart if the plant goes away. I know this as former governor of Michigan. This is very near and dear to my heart, and so I completely understand what you are saying, and we want to encourage those high-wage jobs in places that have historically been making them.
So my follow-up question is, a lot of this funding goes to the companies versus the states. Is there a way that we can focus it more on the states to be able to get these companies versus just giving the loan to the company to go somewhere else?
Well, I think it would require new law, but I would be certainly open to that.
Great. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the charging infrastructure. Even though I love driving my Chevy Bolt around the district, I still yet can't advocate for people to buy one. I can't get across the district because in Peoria, Illinois, we don't have DC charging stations. I've talked with the Department of Transportation. What efforts are the DOT and the DOE doing together to facilitate this infrastructure so that we can get people on the road?
Great. We have a joint office with the DOT and the DOE, and that office is administering the National Electric Vehicle Charging Infrastructure grants to the states across. Illinois got its grant. I'm happy to say that the funding for the states in 3 tranches has already gone out. Number one, the tranche is to make sure that there is a charging station on transportation corridors within 50 miles of one another and not more than a mile off that transportation highway. The second tranche went to urban areas that may not have, or areas in the state that may not have charging infrastructure. Rural areas, urban areas where there may not be a large penetration yet of electric vehicles to solve the chicken and egg issue. And the third round went to go to states to replace the charging stations that are broken, which there are a lot. And under the grant program, you have to have charging stations that are up 98% of the time. So that's a requirement, app-enabled. And so all of that is happening. Now, 20 states have already put out their request for proposals. I can't say, I don't know whether Illinois is one of them, but you can always check.
I'll do that.
And we hope that 20 more will be by the end of the year. So you should start to see additional charging stations be populated by the end of this year so that you can fully recommend people to be able to
Great.
get.
You got it. I can't wait. For the people and for our kids, thanks for your hard work, and I yield back.
Thanks.